I spent the last 3 weeks analyzing over 3,000 virtual donuts just to figure out how they work so that I could tell you how to optimize your recipes and get different colored pixels, also known as shiny Pokemon, more often. Really makes you rethink what's important in life. I mean, this is my unopened copy of Pokopia that I have been patiently waiting to pop in the Switch 2 until I finish this video. But let's make it worth it. I'm Zane, aka Direwolf. Let's dive in. I don't want to bore you with the basics, but if you don't understand budgets and how donuts really work, the rest of this really isn't going to make a lot of sense. So Donuts 101 speedrun, here we go. Donuts in Legends Z-A have 5 different flavors, and each of those flavors grants its own pool of flavor powers. When rolled, these flavor powers are assigned a random level of either level 1, level 2, or level 3. The way the game determines these levels is through a budget system that I first found published on Serebii. Every donut is given a flavor score for each one of the particular flavors based off of the berries that you use to make the donut. Then the game assigns the budget for each flavor based off of their individual flavor scores. This is where rainbow donuts get their edge because rainbow donuts get an additional budget point on top of what the flavor score normally would say, meaning that you get to hit higher breakpoints with lower flavor scores than you would normally need for a single flavored donut. On Serebii's website that I'll link below, you can find their published rates for the probability of rolling a particular level at a given budget. They also documented that there is a cost to rolling a flavor power equal to the level that you just rolled. That means if you roll a level 3 flavor power, that flavor's budget is decreased by 3 for the next flavor power roll. That means there's a balance that needs to be struck between rolling any level 3 powers and rolling the right level 3 powers, because that first level 3 roll could cost you the ability to roll level 3 on the flavor power that you're looking for on that subsequent roll. Now that we're through all of that, in my study, I tracked all of that. The flavor power, the level, and the budget for every single roll on every single donut. That's also why you're going to see more data points in the results to follow than actual donuts in the study, because every donut gave multiple flavor powers and I recorded all of those at their particular budgets when that flavor power was rolled. If you've ever made a donut, you know there is one other metric that matters to your final donut stats, and that is the donut's rank or the number of stars that that donut has. And each one of those stars grants a multiplier to your level and your calorie boost that you get at the end of the donut. 5 stars gives the largest multiplier boost of 1.5x to both of these stats, and you get that at the cumulative flavor score of 960 or more. But what if I told you these aren't the only stats that get a boost when your donut hits 5 stars? I'm going to put my derived probabilities table on screen next to Serebii's. Immediately it becomes clear not only are we not on the same page, we're not even in the same book. The difference, the data in my table is isolated strictly to 5-star donuts without any sweet powers, but more on that later. Now, take a look at what happens when I isolate for 4-star donuts. Budget 8 and budget 9 show up as NA because it's not possible to make donuts of that budget without getting into the 5-star range. But even setting that aside, there are noticeable differences between the 4-star and the 5-star donut tables. The bottom line here is pretty clear. If you care about maximizing your chances at higher level flavor powers, you should not be stopping short of a 5-star donut. And I have to shout out Papa Jefe for this finding. Over 1,000 of the donuts in this study were from his data collection that he made available, and I'll link the video where he did that below. But I never would have thought to collect data on 4-star donuts. Frankly, I didn't care. If I was going to spend the time to roll the correct flavor power combinations on a donut, I wanted to make sure it was a 5-star, so I got the most calories out of it and got to spend the most time using that flavor power combination. But rank alone doesn't cleanly explain the difference that we're seeing between my tables and what Serebii has presented. But I need to be upfront about something else first. As you can see, I'm assigning 0% probabilities to events that actually happened and I actually recorded in the data. But I recorded all of these by hand, and across tens of thousands of inputs, a fat-fingered entry was inevitable. These sausages are only so precise. So if a probability came out to less than 5%, I generally chalked it up to just a recording error and moved on, because these probabilities are most likely single-digit whole numbers divided by other whole numbers between 1 and 10. That's just kind of a Pokemon thing. Even the original shiny odds of 1 in 8,192 come from your chances of stacking up a bunch of these simple fractions with your Pokemon bronze IVs. Anyway, that raw data is still intact and linked below if you want to look at it for any of your own studies or just to fact check me. But with all that on the table, Serebii is still reporting significant level 1 probabilities at budget 5, 6, 7, and even in my 4-star data, and especially in my 5-star data, that is just not happening. That is not just a margin of error disagreement. That is a fundamental disagreement about mechanics. So what else is going on here? Shocker, it's Sparkling Power's fault. The only budget that my table and Serebii's table both agree on is that at budget 9, you are guaranteed a level 3 flavor power. So riddle me this. I give Ansha 8 Tanga berries, make that 760 sweet donut, also known as budget 9, and for all of my troubles, I get... So how on earth did I not get a single level 3 power? At budget 9, I'm supposed to be guaranteed a level 3 and have the chance at a second. How did I get 0? Well, this is exactly why I showed my baseline probabilities table earlier without sweet powers involved at all. Unlike every other flavor power in the game, Sparkling Power doesn't just show up when it's assigned a level. It has to survive a secondary downgrade roll. What are the odds of this downgrade? I'm so glad you asked. If we isolate this data to just budget 9, where we are supposed to have a 100% chance of rolling a level 3, we see that we just have a 33% chance. And we see that for all levels. We can use this to help understand what's actually happening isolated to Sparkling Power. And what we see is that there is a 1 in 3 chance when you roll Sparkling Power that you get to keep that level. There is a 1 in 3 chance that you lose a level and your level drops by 1 from whatever you were supposed to roll. But then there's also a second downgrade chance, and there's a 1 in 3 chance that you lose 2 levels, meaning you don't just drop from the level that you were assigned, you potentially drop off completely. If you rolled a level 2 or lower, there is a 1 in 3 chance you just lose Sparkling Power. You may be noticing something else too though. If you thought you needed 420 sweet flavor to roll Sparkling Power level 3, 420 is the breakpoint to get into budget 6. But I'm showing there's a 10% chance of rolling Sparkling Power level 3 as low as budget 5, which is a sweet flavor of 360. Well, you actually can get Sparkling Power level 3 as low as budget 5, and you can do that with any flavor power for that matter. But because of Sparkling Power's downgrade mechanic, you see it far less than you would for any of the other flavor powers, which is what kind of propagated this myth in the first place. Now, here's what this downgrade means practically and the immediate follow-up question that I needed to answer. Remember that budget cost mechanic? Whatever level you rolled, your budget decreases by that exact same amount. Well, Sparkling Power downgrading and rolling a level 1 or even falling off completely preserves your budget and impacts it far less than your guaranteed level 3 chance that you would expect. And because your first roll was Sparkling Power, that means your next roll has to be one of the 3 size modifiers: Teensy Power, Humongo Power, and the one that I care most about, Alpha Power. Well, that's what I wanted to find out. But before I could, there was one other mechanic with Sparkling Power that I needed to understand first. There are a grand total of 19 Sparkling Powers available in the game, 1 for every type and 1 for all types. And then you have the 3 size modifiers that I mentioned earlier: Teensy, Humongo, and Alpha. So all else being equal, we'd expect rolling Alpha on the very first roll to be 1 out of 22. And we'd expect Sparkling Power to show up 19 out of 22 times on that very first roll. And for the most part, it's exactly what we see. 19 out of 22 times, Sparkling Power rolls first, and the other 3 out of 22 times are equally spread across the 3 size modifiers: Teensy, Humongo, and Alpha. Except at budget 9. We still see an equal distribution of those 3 size modifiers whenever they're rolled, but we no longer see them at 3 out of 22 odds or 1 out of 22 each. We now see them equally distributed across 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 60 each. Sparkling Power consumes even more probability from that first roll at budget 9, operating at 19 out of 20 times or 95%. There is a clear shift upwards for the rate that you roll Sparkling Power at budget 9 compared to any other budget. So if we roll Sparkling Power first, even if it downgrades off the donut entirely, it's still removed from the flavor pool. So all we're left with are the 3 possible size modifiers, meaning we're just left with our 1 in 3 chance of rolling Alpha Power. So my question, is there a budget where the math actually works in our favor and we get to roll Alpha Power level 3 more often than we would at budget 9? So that's what I went to find out. And I did the math, taking into account Sparkling Power's downgrades, the flavor power pool dynamics at each level, and how both of these influence our chances at getting Alpha Power level 3. Based on my derived probability tables, these are your chances of rolling Alpha Power level 3 at each budget. Budget 9 wins. Kind of a letdown if I'm being honest. I was really hoping to find some hidden optimized budget where Alpha Power level 3 was more predisposed, or whatever jargon you want me to throw at you. And that just wasn't the case. So if you're just looking for purely the best possible chance of rolling Alpha Power level 3, it's 8 Tanga berries with a bullet. And on top of that, you get the best chance of rolling Sparkling Power too, so it's kind of a win-win. But I will draw your eye to the difference between budget 9 and budget 8. That's only a 3% difference, and you can make budget 8 donuts with half the Tanga berries than you do with budget 9 donuts. There's only one recipe to make a budget 9 donut, but there's a ton of recipes to make budget 8. And budget 7 can be made without any Tanga berries at all. So to make all this worth your time, knowing what we know now, here are the best donut recipes at each level to make as many Alpha Power level 3 donuts as possible with the fewest number of berry farming runs to keep you shiny hunting longer. Starting with budget 9. Like I said, the only way to make this is with 8 Tanga berries, so moving on. Budget 8 is where things get a little bit more interesting. One of my personal favorites is to use 5 Tanga berries, 2 Haban berries, and 1 Chopal berry. This gets you exactly to 700, gives you more calories than the 8 Tanga berry, and only 5 Tanga berries required for this recipe compared to the full 8, so you get to make almost twice as many donuts for the same Tanga berry cost. Now, if you want exactly half, you can still make a budget 8 donut with 4 Tanga berries, filling in the other 4 with Haban berries. So 4 Tanga, 4 Haban. That is exactly half of the number of Tanga berries required to make a budget 9 donut. This lets you make literally twice the number of Alpha Power level 3 donuts for the same Tanga berry cost. Now, my personal favorite pure sweet donut is 2 Tanga, 6 Haban. This gives you the most amount of calories and the largest level boost possible in a pure sweet donut that still hits the 700 breakpoint to make budget 8, so that you can get 2 chances of rolling a level 3 and still maximizing your chances at an Alpha Power level 3 donut. The last recipe that I'll mention here is a budget 7 donut, but it's a rainbow donut, which makes it budget 8. And that is 6 Haban, 1 Payapa, and 1 Yaki berry. This is a rainbow donut between sweet and fresh. Now, because it's a rainbow donut, you are equally likely to roll 2 fresh flavors as you are to roll 2 sweet flavors. So this is going to be less likely to roll your specific flavor powers, but still, without a Tanga berry, is going to get you that budget 8 donut with incredible level boost and calorie results. It just might take a little bit longer to reset. Do with that information what you will. Now, at budget 7, you're looking about half the probability of rolling in Alpha Power level 3, but these don't require Tanga berries at all. So just add it to the toolkit. With 4 Haban, 1 Koba, 1 Chopal, and 2 Aka, you can still get a 5-star donut at budget 7 without using a single Tanga berry. If berry farming isn't your bottleneck and you're swimming in Tanga berries, then the budget 9 option is the best possible choice, so just stick with it and don't overthink it. But if berry farming is your bottleneck, and eventually for most people, it will become your bottleneck, budget 8 donuts can give you more Alpha Power donuts for the same cost. And the per donut odds of hitting Alpha Power level 3 at budget 8 versus budget 9 isn't really noticeably different. It's about 1 in 5 versus 1 in 6, but budget 8 lets you build about twice as many donuts that budget 9 would for the same berry farming cost. So when you factor that in, the math kind of flips towards budget 8. Either way, now you know, and you can make the call that best fits how you play. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is he so hyper fixated on Alpha Power? Well, you can find the answer to that in this video right here, where I do a full deep dive on why Alpha Power does more for your shiny alpha hunts than Sparkling Power could ever dream of. And if that doesn't sound interesting to you, you can check out this video over here that YouTube thinks you're gonna like, and YouTube's pretty smart. So either way, I'll see you there.